Well, welcome back to OpenLine here tonight. We're joined this evening by J.C. Bowman. He is the Executive Director of the Professional Educators of Tennessee. J.C., thank you for joining us here tonight.
What an honor to be here, Claire. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Tell us, explain this organization that you were one of the founders of. Obviously, this is a big passion of yours.
It is. I think teachers have wanted representation for a long time. Non-political. I mean, we're nonpartisan. We don't get into that. Most teachers really are not political. People like to make a point that they are, but I'd say probably 85–90% of teachers, they're just trying to do their job and educate kids. So we're a nonpartisan teachers association located here in Nashville, and we're growing rapidly, and we like to do that. But the key for us is that we represent teachers at the legislature. We give them member benefits. We provide them legal services, and we provide the whole gamut of activities that they need. And professional development is one of our biggest areas. So we help them keep their teacher license.
Very good. So teachers can pay to be a part of your organization. They get these services, and you all are also representing them on the larger scale for the state.
Yes, and we're only Tennessee focused. We're only in Tennessee. We don't have a national organization. We don't have to worry about somebody else doing other stuff outside. And so the key for that, I think, is for us, all of our money stays in state. So everything we spend, and our dues are like $194 for a year. And so that's probably one of the lowest that you'll find in the nation for an association. So we can provide all the benefits and all the stuff. It's tight, but we can do it. And our offices, like I said, here, our goal when we initially started, we've moved up the state a little bit. We came from Williamson, we went to Columbia, then we moved to, we were in Williamson County, and now we're here in Nashville. We think we need to be a presence in Nashville.
Very good, very good. And Metro is such a big district here in the state, obviously big here in Nashville, so
it is.
Lots of importance there. You talk to teachers, I'm guessing, almost every day.
I do.
There's a lot of conversations going on in this state right now. We are just over 2 weeks from the start of Metro starting school, which everyone's wrapping up their summer and nobody wants to really think about going back to school, but schools are thinking about it. There are a lot of openings. There have been openings in the past at this point in the summer, but there are a lot right now.
There are, and just I went through some numbers today looking at them. And let me give you some real staggering statistics. So you can start out that there are 7,000 teachers that can leave right now because they've got their retirement met, so they could leave. An additional 3,500 by the year 2024. That's what's there right now. The story came out, and I believe it was done here. Emily West did it, and we talked about the 1,000 teachers in Middle Tennessee alone, 2,000 across the state.
Right.
I looked at the numbers today. And I was going back over it, and I was calling people, and I was doing that, and everybody goes, well, it could have been cut in half and everything else. There's 220 openings in Metro. There's 140 in Clarksville. And all the little districts along the way, all the smaller districts that you see in Wilson County, about another 100 and something. And so while they are making inroads and reducing that amount, and maybe we've brought it down to 1,000, they're not. I went on LinkedIn just to look around before I came on show, and they're showing 4,000 teacher openings in Tennessee, including private, charter, public, preschool, everything, just in Tennessee alone. So this is going to be an escalating problem for a long time.
Right. And at the end of this past school year, we're seeing teacher resignations and retirements up about 15% from the year before.
Right.
I mean, this is, we're going to get into the reasons why and potential reasons why, but this is certainly gone on an upward trajectory.
It is, and I think that you're going to see also the part of it is that teachers that are older, how much longer do they continue on? So one of the things we worked on last year was to allow retired teachers that wanted to stay in the classroom, and there's a program in Florida and Louisiana called the DROP program. They kind of done a little bit with it. You can get 70% of your retirement, you could draw that and get a teacher pay. We want to go 100%, so go ahead and then extend it out. It's only for 1 year. But if we can do it for 5 years, that'll help alleviate a little bit of the crisis because these teachers have been experienced and have been in the classroom. Right. And so I've already talked to some legislators who are already wanting to expand that program out.
Because this summer, a new law was passed to allow these retired teachers to come back with that ability to just to get in the door really and get those benefits.
Yes.
How effective are we seeing that? Do we know yet? Is it too early to say?
It's going to depend, on the county. I think that there's some counties, like I did Knox County when I did the television there. Knox TV, a teacher called in and said, I'm done. I did my 30 years. I am not coming back. And then you've got in Shelby County, there was a Coach Fant. I remember his name because I read the article. And Coach Fant said he couldn't wait to get back, and he's bringing his friends with him. So, it's just going to depend on how it's approached and how they talk about it, and if they still believe in the system, and if they're wanting to work. And, it depends on the relationship there, the feeling of how the community treats teachers.
Right, and that's another topic of the treatment, of the feeling, and I think we should get into that in a minute here. But, as far as, let's go into these main reasons. As you're talking to teachers, people leaving, we've had the coronavirus, which was a huge strain on teachers, but this has been a little bit of a ticking time bomb from our understanding of this is not just COVID put teachers in a really challenging spot. This has been, they've been feeling maybe disrespected. They are up against challenges with social media and the internet. Can you kind of give us those top really hot buttons for teachers that they say, this has made it too tough, it's time to go?
Well, I try to always keep it simple. So for me, when I look at it and I look at some of the bigger causes, I kind of boil it down to one. It's a lack of respect. And whether that's the disrespect being shown, you look at school board meetings, and I will say to this advantage that teachers are the target of everything. So if they don't like the curriculum, let's yell at the teacher. If my child is disciplined in school, let's yell at the teacher. The teacher gets the forefront of this, the tip of the spear, and so they get the subject of all of that, and it's a stressor for them. And I go back to this. Tennessee has one of the highest ranked, or we're the highest in the nation. One of the highest. 83% of our teachers are female. So they're going through the whole experience of their career, from starting out to teaching, working their way through the career, going through the family, and doing all the aspects there. And so what happens is, and then they're getting yelled at, and they're going, wait a minute. And I have a friend that's in the benefits business, and he called us, and he goes, you got any teachers leaving? And I go, why? He goes, man, he said, teachers are incredible to hire. So they look for teachers in other industries because they're detailed people, they follow direction, they get things done, and they want them for sales and everything else. So teachers are leaving the field and finding it more convenient. But teacher assaults, underreported. We don't report those. Teachers are assaulted at a growing rate. We've had a number of assaults in this area. Some of them have been litigated. Some are well known. The safety issue, I mean, just in Nashville alone, at Oliver Middle School, one of the reasons cited was safety. And it was over a handgun. And a kid had brought a handgun, and people weren't notified. And I don't know, whether policy was followed or not. I'm not that drilled into that issue, but it is safety. I remember as a teacher myself, on my 30th birthday, that's why I remember it, I hunted a kid with a gun. And I'm thinking, he's going to shoot me and get 2 weeks detention. And at that point, I became a big advocate for SROs. But the safety factor, they don't feel safe. We hear teachers sometimes in Shelby County have called, and they said they literally will walk into the school at the beginning of the day. They go to the bathroom before they go in their class, and they will stay there all day until the end of the day because they're afraid to go in the hallway. And you can't do that. If that's it's the culture. And so you see it over a chance or over time, how the community either buys in, supports their teachers, or that they turn on the teachers and make them the subject of all the issues that they're seeing. And for the communities that support their teachers, and I will say this, it crosses political sphere of both sides, Republican and Democrat alike. In this last month, I think, we have seen people come together. I think I've never seen more people united and speaking out about how influential teachers were in their career or how much they've helped them. And I think it's a unifying voice that's coming across, and I think it's good. It's going to be good for us in the long term. I'm still hopeful. I mean, I'm an optimist. I get up in the morning, I'm excited about to go into work, and I still think it's the best days are still ahead for our country, and still think the best days are ahead for our schools. I know that it's hard right now, and to try to convey that, and that's part of my time. I talked to a teacher today, 14-year teacher. They have moved her 3 times in the school. We need you to do this. I'll do it. We need you to do that. I'll do it. I need you to do this. And they go, hey, by the way, you have to take the praxis exam if you want to stay in this job. Well, she didn't ask to move. And praxis exam's another one. And so there's always 2 things on the teacher issue: recruitment and retention. So both of those things, you got to figure out how to redo them. Recruitment, getting teachers in. For the last 5 years, teacher numbers have declined, students going into teaching. It's on a steady pace downward. And colleges of education will tell you it's hard to get them in. We raised our standards. This is why I got real upset with the comment the other day about the colleges of education. Our college of education, we've raised our standard. You have to have a 22 on the ACT to get in. You have to maintain, in some schools it's a 3.0, in some it's 2.5. You have to maintain a certain GPA. You have to, when you leave, you have to do this thing called EdTPA, and which means you're student teaching, and you have to come back, you have to take classes, you record yourself teaching, you may have to do surveys of your lesson plans, you have to do all this work in addition to it. Now, if you're a poor kid, and I was that kid, I mean, I did my time in the Marine Corps in order to go to Ford College, so I'm there. I sold shoes, I student taught and sold shoes at night at JCPenney's. So that's how I paid my bills. But for these kids who are in college, going to college, student teaching, and then having to take classes at night, gas money, rent, everything else. Where do they get the money from? It is putting so much pressure on them. We've got to figure out an easier way for them without lowering standards. Nobody's saying that we're lowering standards. Alabama, just across the line, they've done away with the praxis exam. And so they have to pass praxis exam for this. And here's the other issue. The praxis exam is aligned to national standards. So the Common Core that everybody talks about getting rid of, the test that teachers take to get into teaching in Tennessee is aligned to those standards. Now, what also has happened is we teach the Tennessee standards. So even the tests we tell you to take to get into the field doesn't align to the standards you're going to be teaching. So we need to really step back, take a look at that, and decide if that's the best way we can continue to do that, whether we need to have our own exam if somebody wants to do that, or at least make sure it aligns to the standards we want taught.
You're talking about the need for some reform, some changes
Right.
to make this a smoother process. There seems like there's some red tape involved, things like that, you know, on a lot of aspects. I wanted to ask you, you know,
Yes.
when you brought up safety, it's obviously a huge concern right now. We're still feeling this Uvalde massacre and still on the mind of so many people and parents. You talk to parents who say, I'm so scared to even think about sending my kids back to school. We're seeing more schools having clear backpacks. You know, you're seeing that across the country. Things like that are changing. For teachers, do you hear this concern, that safety concern, more now than you heard it? I know you've been doing this for a long time. And what are they, because the teachers I've talked to say, I don't feel protected. I don't feel like my district is giving me the backing that I need. I don't feel like there are policies in place. Is that what you're hearing? Because that's what I'm hearing.
I am hearing that, and I've heard that. Not only that, I mean, I do walkthroughs. I actually did a live shooter drill with Chair Lady Moody. Chair Lady Moody is a big safety act. We've been pushing this issue for like 3 or 4 years. So it's not like something new. As soon as Parkland came out, we were really active at that point and trying to protect our teachers. And there's little things that we don't even notice. How does a door open at a school? Does it open inward? Does it open outward? If it opens inward, that's a bad thing. I mean, it's, you know, the whole safety aspect of how you're going to save our people. But, you know, going to guns. I play with guns. I'm a Second Amendment supporter. I'm a Marine. I'm trained. I would not carry a gun in school. That's me. And when you talk to 83% female, a lot of them want somebody with a gun there. Now, that's, if you ask the question, do you want somebody with a gun on the school? you're probably going to get 90% yes, maybe higher. But do you want to carry the gun and do it? And you got to go to the aspect, and I keep saying that word, but you keep going to the point where our teachers are nurturers. We love kids. We want to teach kids. We're being kind, and we want to bring out the best in them. And then all of a sudden, the kid that you know that's sitting back there in the seat, three seats back every day, has a gun, and now he's pointing it at you. Can you shoot that kid? And usually, the answer is they can't, because they're going to try to talk to him. Jimmy, now you know to put that gun down, Jimmy, and Jimmy's going to shoot you. You know, the police usually don't have that. Now, we have failure in Uvalde. That's just a human failure, and it's you know, that was I mean, I love law enforcement, big backer of the blue, but that was an embarrassment. And you know, to hear the shootings going on and kids dying and teachers dying. And that's the other thing. We forget that we put our teachers on the front lines of everything, including school shootings.
Absolutely. And that is the frontline word, I think, has been coming up a lot. And we are going to get into this even more, just about how much these teachers are bearing on the weight of their shoulders and maybe why they are headed out the door. We're here on Open Line. You can call us to call into the shows and have some questions here for JC. Don't go away. We'll be right back.